We are joined now by NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist in Washington, and here in New York, our national law enforcement correspondent Tom Winter, MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin, former federal prosecutor at the Southern District Barrett Berger, and also with us presidential historian Douglas Brinkley. Okay, Tom, let's back up for a moment. Take us through how all this went down.
Sure, and we'll back up to what the mayor just said about how he's been calling for immigration action in New York City since 2022. To be clear, yesterday he did have an executive action. That's why he was on Fox News this morning, and that action he could have taken at any point since 2022. So it's not as if he needed to wait for the Trump administration for that. I just want to fact check the mayor in real time. With respect to yesterday and what occurred, what we saw was a process that took over several days, and we saw, because we have copies of the memos that were sent initially from the Justice Department and the acting Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bovee, to the Southern District of New York and to the person who was running that office. By the way, Danielle Sassoon was appointed by the Trump administration to hold that title on an interim basis until ultimately they could get confirmed Jay Clayton, who will assume that role as the U.S. attorney. The memo to her response in the form of a letter to the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, saying, look, you haven't met me before, but I want to introduce myself, and I've got some concerns about what I think you're about to do or want me to do with respect to the Mayor Adams case. And then at 1:50 yesterday, she tendered her resignation, and then we saw the response back from the acting Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bovee, directly addressing her concerns. And so this was a fairly direct and contentious back and forth between the two sides. It's communications that we almost never see unless it's docketed in court. And since there are internal deliberations inside the Justice Department, we almost never see those at all. So this has been quite a 24 hours here of back and forth between the principal people involved. And what you're seeing is somebody who has clear concerns about their ability to faithfully represent in court Danielle Sassoon and her team, what the Trump Justice Department wants them to do. You mentioned something before about the roiling inside of the Justice Department. Certainly, we're all talking about it. This is a big topic here this morning, and what could be going on there. My analysis of the situation based on my reporting and the people that I've talked to is they don't care. Nobody lost sleep last night at the Justice Department that Danielle Sassoon resigned or anybody else resigned.
But she wasn't the only person who resigned. I mean, there were 6 people altogether who resigned.
It does not. We have to recalculate our thinking on this Justice Department. They have mandates. They have focuses. They have things that they want to achieve. And as the president's executive order said, you're either going to faithfully execute what we lay out for you and represent this administration in court, or you're out. And that's their thought process. I'm not making a judgment on it. I'm just telling you that's the thought process, and that's the world that they live in. So in a normal times, you would see all these resignations. There would be a pause. Wait a minute. Has somebody made a mistake? Or people make analogies to the Saturday Night Massacre, which, of course, occurred with Archibald Cox.
Which we're going to talk to Doug Brinkley about in a second.
Sure. In the Nixon administration, that is not something that is entering into the realm for this Justice Department leadership. They look at it in the language in the email. They call Danielle Sassoon insubordinate. And so they look at it and say, you're just in our way. And now that you're out of our way, we can continue to do what we want. It's a big sea change from the way that we're all used to thinking about this.
Let's get more from the White House and their thinking. Aaron, what's the reaction there, and how is the president handling all of this?
Well, and I think as you zoom in on this particular case, there hasn't been a ton of reaction from the White House. A lot of what Tom just walked through is the reaction that we're seeing from DOJ, to his point, which is odd to see this level of sort of public discourse about this case. At the same time, I can tell you that President Trump was asked directly about the degree to which he or the White House played a role in the Eric Adams case. And I want you to hear how President Trump answered that question.
If I could ask you about a development in your hometown today, the U.S. Attorney has resigned over the DOJ's request to drop the case into Eric Adams. Did you personally request the Justice Department to drop that case?
No, I didn't. I know nothing about it. I did not. To your other question, that U.S. Attorney was actually fired. I don't know if he or she resigned, but that U.S. Attorney was fired.
Now, as you widen out in these first couple of weeks of the Trump administration, you know that this has been a White House that has said it is working to stop the weaponization of government, it's working to stop the weaponization of the Justice Department, and there have been efforts to really make corruption cases and corruption law not a priority for this administration in the way that we maybe have seen it for several years. We know that there have been inspectors general who've been fired in different agencies. Executive orders have targeted foreign actor laws that would address how foreign agents interact with businesses in this country and around the world. And so what we're seeing in New York potentially could be another wave in that effort to do what the administration says, stop weaponization of government.
Aaron, thanks. Barrett, this is not normal. This is remarkable, really. If you look at some of the language in Sassoon's resignation letter, she writes that Emil Bovie's memo that was directing her to dismiss this Adams case, quote, raises serious concerns that render the contemplated dismissal inconsistent with my ability and duty to prosecute federal crimes without fear or favor and to advance good faith arguments before the courts. This is your old office. What's your reaction?
Look, I think the most troubling part of all of this to me is that every office that I worked for, the Eastern District, the Southern District, the ethos of those offices was always one of open debate, both within our office and with Main Justice. And I'll tell you, there were numbers of times that we had disagreements with Main Justice, either cases we wanted to bring, charges we wanted to bring, and there were plenty of times that Main Justice disagreed with us. They said, you can't take that action, you have to do this. But never once was there any sort of retaliation or fear that we were going to be punished for our advocacy. In fact, it was one of, let's discuss, let's get all of these out there because we're going to be in open court. We're going to have to make these arguments. Let's have these, really voracious arguments internally first. Never once was there the threat of you're going to be fired or you're going to be put on administrative leave or put in a different unit because you had the gall to disagree with something your supervisor said. That is a sea change. And, Tom said that people at Main Justice aren't losing sleep over this. The people that are losing sleep over this right now are the line prosecutors. And I've talked to a lot of people that are still in the department right now, and they are gutted. They feel like, are my two choices now going to be to either resign or have to do something that goes against my oath? I think they are losing sleep. I think they're losing faith in this Department of Justice that they signed up to do this really important job for. And that's a really sad day.
But we did see now a number of people take a stand. Lisa, it wasn't one resignation, as we mentioned. There were 6 total. It included prosecutors in the Public Integrity Unit, as well as the Criminal Division in Washington, not here in New York. I just wonder, they're saying no to Emil Bovie, to this one person who was the acting deputy attorney general, former member of Trump's personal defense team, representing him in his criminal cases before he was elected as president. So that stand, what does it tell you? Not just about this one case, but perhaps the broader message they're sending here.
Well, I think it sends the message, first of all, what Emil Bovie did yesterday in his memo to Danielle Sassoon, in addition to placing people on administrative leave and starting investigations, he yanked the case away from the Southern District. And on, if I can, I want to read from the letter. He says, under your leadership, the office has demonstrated itself to be incapable of fairly and impartially reviewing the circumstances of this prosecution. He's essentially saying the entire office is untrustworthy. And therefore, I'm taking this case and I'm giving it to the Public Integrity Unit at Main Justice. That in and of itself is remarkable. So when we see that protest from the 5 resignations, one person in the Criminal Division, which oversees the Public Integrity Unit, 4 other senior prosecutors in the Public Integrity Unit itself, saying no, part of that is also a reaction to this was a case brought by the Southern District, investigated by the Southern District. Your lack of confidence in an office full of 200-plus prosecutors is really unbecoming of the traditions of this office, but it also signals, as you said, some greater pushback by justice. The memo to dismiss, or the motion to dismiss the prosecution, still has not been filed on the Adams docket, and that's because, as our Ryan Riley reported yesterday, Public Integrity has about 25 to 30 people in it total. They may still be searching for the person who will sign that Rule 48 motion to dismiss this prosecution. It's not clear to me who's going to do it now. And the fact that he says that the Southern District as a whole is not to be trusted goes to Barrett's point about the line prosecutors in the Southern District and in other units of justice saying to themselves, well, wait a second. my ability to prosecute cases without fear or favor is being called into question all around the horn here. Do I really want to be in for this?
Doug, I got to get you in here because I'm wondering how you see this, as you have been a student of so many administrations. This has brought up the Saturday night massacre during the Nixon administration. Your thoughts?
Well, Danielle Sassoon is a Archibald Cox kind of profile and courage. Cox was the special prosecutor who finally said no to the Nixon White House about the tapes, the famous Watergate tapes. And so, he led eventually to the impeachment proceedings, Cox, of Nixon. Here we're seeing a similar person, somebody who loves the law, wants to do right, Sassoon's caring about ethics. She went through the Federalist Society. She's a conservative person at heart. She's the Scalia clerk. And the fact that she has the temerity, the tenacity to say, I'm not doing it, that's not right. I went to law school. I've studied the law with the best. This is a rogue action that's being placed upon me by the Justice Department. It's really quite serious. And you saw it's not just her. It's a trail of people saying, I'm not blowing my career and life and scar myself for being, kind of thugged around because Mayor Eric Adams suddenly has this magic wand and everything disappears for him because he's a toady to President Trump. The main problem that New York has now is Eric Adams is going to start acting above the law. He has been now, the wand of Donald Trump has touched him, and he feels he can do whatever he wants in the sense of undocumented workers or trying to attack crime from various ways. So it's going to be a lot of tension in New York, whether Adams stays or goes and who will be the next mayor. And meanwhile, I worry that we're going to be losing some of our best lawyers, particularly in New York, and over all of this.